Okay. Sylvia?
Hello, good morning from Geneva. I can hear you well. Renana?
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, I
Okay.
can. We can.
Okay, so we can start.
Okay.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this closing event of the IP Management Clinic program in the Femtech industry. I will just moderate this first part of the 2 days workshop. My name is Roman Planes. I'm working at the World Intellectual Property Organization, closely with Mathilde and Sylvia. To start with, we will hear the opening remarks from the representative of the co-organizer of this event, the Israel Patent Office and Canadian Intellectual Property Office, who will share with us their impressions from the program. So please join me in welcoming Mordechai Sorek, Executive Director of the Israel Patent Office, Jacqueline Bracha, Deputy Director of the Israel Patent Office, Konstantinos George Garas, I hope I said that well, CEO of the Canadian Intellectual Property Office, and finally Sylvia Troposka, Counselor in the IP for Business Division, working with us at the World Intellectual Property Organization. So I will now give the floor to Mordechai Sorek.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to our colleagues in Canada. I'm pleased to be here today at the conclusion of the Femtech IP Clinic. It's an important initiative that was held in cooperation with WIPO and the Canadian IP Office. First, I would like to thank our partners. Special thanks for WIPO for their ongoing support and their shared vision in promoting innovation through IP protection. Thank you to the Canadian IP Office for their partnership and their expertise that they brought to this clinic. This international collaboration demonstrates the power of sharing knowledge and experience between our nations. This clinic reflects the current vision of the Israeli Patent Office. Our aim is to become not just a regulatory authority whose role is to examine and register applications. We see ourselves as an active partner in advancing Israeli innovation, and we believe our role is to create real value for Israel's high-tech and innovation industry. This vision is reflected in the close relationship we foster with local industry. We maintain an ongoing dialogue with companies, entrepreneurs, and inventors, understanding their needs and trying to adapt our services accordingly. Initiatives such as the Femtech IP Clinic are an excellent example of how we work to bridge the gap between our professional knowledge and the practical needs of the industry. Particularly in this field of Femtech, we see a unique opportunity. This is an area where Israel and Canada, I think, both have the potential to lead globally and prosper. Intellectual property protection is key to this success. This clinic is an important step in the right direction in this context. I'm particularly proud of the strengthening the ties between our office and the local industry, as well as foreign offices. We regularly conduct seminars, workshops, and training sessions, and we've established dedicated channels for professional consultation. These efforts are also part of our commitment, not just to serve the innovation community, but to actively participate in its growth. In closing, I would like again to thank all of the participants for your engagement and commitment. I hope these tools and knowledge you've gained here will assist you in the professional journey and contribute to the success of your ventures. We here at the Israeli Patent Office will continue to act as your partners on the path to success, and our door is always open to you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline Bracha.
Yes, hi. Thank you and welcome to the closing event in the first Israeli-Canadian IP Clinic for the Femtech industry. And I'm very glad to see the successful conclusion of this wonderful project. When we first started planning the clinic almost 2 years ago, we were hoping that for the final event, we will see you all here in Israel. But as John Lennon said, life is what happens to you when you're busy having other plans. Or even better, as we say in Jerusalem, a man plans, God laughs. But this is much more applicable to men than to women. As we can see here, this project was planned by women, and therefore it managed to exceed our expectations on many levels. First, we were impressed by the enthusiasm the company showed to participate in the clinic. Although the times were extremely tough here in Israel, the managers were reluctant to give up. We were also impressed by how driven the companies were to receive the knowledge and to learn from the experience of the mentors. We were not surprised at all by the high level of competence, all the mentors and their readiness to invest time and effort in their companies. So thank you, dear mentors, and dear Rosa, for your priceless contribution to the success of this project. We were also not surprised at the friendship extended to us from the Canadian Patent Office. Thank you, Seida and Shitong and their team. And although I said that this was a women's project, I would personally like to thank you, Konstantinos, for your friendship and support from our first meeting in Geneva till today. And last but not least, we were not surprised by the professionalism of WIPO, Mathilde, Sylvie, and their team. You really did have an answer to every question we had. So thank you very much. And finally, thank you, Anana and Karin, for all your hard work. And the work of the participating companies, some of them are here, unfortunately not all of them, done with strangers. Come and seek our help and advice in all your IP matters. I sincerely hope that we will have many more successful projects in years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Konstantinos?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Shalom. It's very just great to be here with colleagues from our Israel Patent Office and from WIPO as well. I also appreciated the reference to John Lennon, "Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans." It's a great song. So I'm the head of the Canadian Intellectual Property Office, and I'm just thrilled that SIPO could be a part of this important project. I'm glad that we're here today to celebrate the successful conclusion of the IP Management Clinic for SMEs and Femtech. And I hope you all found the Femtech program, including working with our participating IP experts and IP office colleagues, a helpful and a worthwhile experience. And I'm eager to hear about your experiences. The role of IP continues to grow in prominence, both in Canada and globally, and the IP ecosystem is expanding with a growing number of stakeholders. And this highlights the importance of the work we're doing here today. In this regard, the Canadian Intellectual Property Office plays a critical role in catalyzing innovation. In fact, one of our missions is to foster innovation and competitiveness through awareness and education. And this Femtech program certainly is relevant to that mission and very important. To help SIPO understand the importance here, we have developed a rather extensive economic research agenda. And there's one area I would like to highlight. In 2019, we conducted a survey of 16,000 companies in Canada who have formal IP. And we have found that those companies who do have IP are more likely to be higher growth, more productive, more innovative, and also more likely to export. What is particularly interesting is that companies with formal IP benefit from the use of IP, but it's not just large companies, it's also small and medium-sized enterprises and micro-sized enterprises. In fact, we've conducted, as part of this research, gender-based analysis, and we have found the important links between IP and women-owned businesses and their performance with regard to IP. There are, of course, some important gaps that we've identified in terms of, for example, the proportion of women represented in patent applications. So this makes the initiative such as the Femtech program that much more important and relevant. SIPO is pleased to work with SMEs in the Femtech industry over the course of this program. And I encourage you to explore the tools and resources on SIPO's website to consult SIPO's IP advisors as you continue your ventures and leverage IP to achieve your business goals. I also wish to thank the Canadian and Israeli IP professionals for dedicating their expertise to this program. I'm convinced that your mentorship and training sessions offered meaningful help to participating companies. And last but certainly not least, please allow me to express my deep appreciation to the Israeli Patent Office and for WIPO for organizing this event. SIBO was truly honored to work with you to deliver this program, and we look forward to continued collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Finally, Sylvia.
Thank you, Roman. Sorry, I forgot to unmute. I'm also touched by the nice openings that were already, that we heard from the Israeli and Canadian office. I thank Mr. Soares, Ms. Brasha, and Mr. Georgares for also for the kind words directed to WIPO. So I will also say a few words on behalf of my division, on behalf of WIPO. I must confess I didn't know much about this industry when we started working on this program, but afterwards it was impressive, the portfolios of the companies, what we learned from all the experts, including myself. And I was not aware that this field is so impactful, with over 51% of the global population affected by women's health challenges, and the FemTech market project exceeds 4.8 trillion globally by 2025. The importance of supporting this sector cannot be overstated. So I'm very happy that this program was successful, because in some way it's also contributing to this important topic. I also want to emphasize the very nice collaboration and partnership with the Israeli Patent Office, with the Canadian Intellectual Property Office. It was really an enjoyable cooperation. I'm sad today Mathilde Tachon is not here. She is also part of our small team. Myself, Mathilde, and Roman were very happy to be engaged with all of you. And of course, without this good collaboration, this could have been not, this program could have not taken place. So at the end, just to say a few words in closing, this clinic represents far more than just a program. It's a meaningful step toward the broader mission of advancing women's health through innovation, and we wish every success to the companies that participated in this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for this really good opening remarks. We can now go through the experts' insights. We will focus now on the practical takeaways from the program and hear about the progress participants have made with their IP strategies. This session will also summarize key findings and lessons learned from the clinic. So it is my pleasure to welcome our expert speakers. We have Ms. Einaf Zilber, Ms. Nathalie Raful, and Mr. Max Yam. Each of them has worked closely with some of our participants, as well as collaborated with the entire team of experts involved, and they will share their feedback on their work and involvement in the program. And I will now give the floor to Einaf to start.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm sorry I'm on the Zoom and not in the room with the Israeli participants. I'm reflecting feedback from the other experts, and I think we all share strongly the sense of being privileged for working with the 10 innovative Israeli companies. I see some here. I see Nimrod Lev from Gene Tools, and Rebecca Sternberg from Equifit Intimate, and Nufar not in the room, Nufar Wagner from Max Overy, Sarit Batzir from Dietary, Ronia Rubinstein, from Enspot, FemSelect by Debbie Gardner, Forever Labs by David Alimi, Zitec by Asher Deutsch, Maya Goren from Biomed, and Sheila Health, led by Sharon Endelman Gottlieb. Our expert panel brought together diverse IP expertise. Patent attorney Cynthia Webb, the founder and managing partner of Webb & Co, here in the Zoom, on biotech and pharma technologies. Attorney Yael Rimmer, co-head of the IP practice at the Fisher FBC firm, and attorney Lihi Katz-Nelson, branding and IP attorney at the Arnon Tadmor Levy firm on IP litigation, IP contracts, branding, and privacy. And myself, attorney and patent attorney Nav Zilber, VP IP at Magnus Metal, an emerging startup company on high-tech innovations and in-house IP management. We also had for a training session, Elena Canetti. She was unable to join today, co-founder of the Invenium Group. She provided valuable training on the business aspects of tech transfer and public funding. And we have 4 key observations and learning, 4 key findings, but only 3 recommendations. So first, regarding the participants, we were highly impressed, as I said, by the companies and the entrepreneurial leadership the CEOs and the representatives present. We felt that the participants had some baseline awareness for IP, mainly on patents. We saw significant growth in their understanding of comprehensive IP strategy throughout the program, through the training and the one-on-one sessions. And we also felt that the focus on branding and contractual aspects was extremely important. And maybe Lihi and Yael will elaborate on that, especially the value for SMEs in these aspects. We want to say something about the engagement patterns. Most of the companies were represented by CEO, and the active CEO involvement, no doubt, is ideal for strategic IP integration with business and technology. However, some of the CEOs need to focus more on funding rounds at times, and obviously it's the right prioritization for them. But for benefiting the maximum out of this program, this prioritization suffered. The participation in the program suffered a little. The fourth observation relates to public resources. No doubt, we didn't spend the time of anybody here in this program. The value of IP for funding and for business success, it's clear for us, the experts. We saw it once, time and again in our career. And we share the praise for CIPO, ILPO, and WIPO for making this program available. What we want to say is that this is not enough. And as an Israeli, I direct this request especially for you, Moti, as a representative of the Justice Department, that we encourage a government and the ILPO to do more for entrepreneurs, SMEs, and SMEs. There is clearly a need for additional national resources, either in the form of public funding or government support in other forms. Now about our key findings. A lot of time was invested on IP portfolio management, efficient patent management, how to arrive to quality. And we recommended most of the companies to build a dedicated patent expert team to elaborate the notion of a single patent expert that can solve or address all issues of a company. This is especially unique for, especially relevant for companies with a broad technology span, and this is also characterizing most of the startups today. We also acknowledge the fact that most of the Israeli companies like their patent attorney, which is great. So this favorable patent attorney can coordinate the work of the dedicated team of experts. We also thought that the issue of trade secret management should receive a greater place in IP portfolio management. The second key finding relates to digital and brand protection. So Yael and Lee, if you want to jump in with your own advice, it would be great. We saw this area as the area with the most, with a particular interest because of first the gap and between what the companies knew or how they operate and what they can do, especially value for money, right? Enforcement value and avoiding mistakes by proper management, which is so important in this area. We know that smaller companies can efficiently use trademarks, design, and copyrights, and also elevate their digital presence. Some of the companies are already selling through their website, so this area is important. The third topic we want to emphasize is relationship management. And we choose this phrase to bring together the relationship with stakeholders. It could be customers, B2C or B2B. It could be partners, academia. Some of the companies are engaged with academia and technology transfer offices and suppliers. And for relationship management, all the feedback that was provided on contract management, IP sections and contract is highly valuable. And the fourth key topic is privacy. Privacy not only not in all companies, privacy is considered IP, but when you have issues, then it is always related to IP. And therefore, we see in Yael, for example, an expert in IP and privacy compliance, data collection, authorization of use, permissions, storage, highly important in the health sector. So these are our main findings. And as promised, 3 recommendations. So first of all, we want to emphasize that IP is a dynamic asset and as such require ongoing attention and budget adjustment. And yes, budget is always a constraint, and we spend some time with the companies searching how to do more with less. We hope that you will have more and then we'll be able to do more because IP, as time go by, IP requires budget adjustments. The second recommendation is maybe obvious, but sometimes saying the obvious is also important. Stay hands-on with your IP development. And I think it's not so trivial when your companies grow and as CEOs, your attention span will develop. How can you remain hands-on with your IP strategy development? We think this is key. And the third recommendation is to keep your IP counsel close and happy in that it can bring you value, right? That is aware of your will to provide you with the advice that you need. We've constantly seen that the quality of with your counsel directly impacts outcomes. And this is it. On behalf of my fellow experts and myself, we thank you, first of all, the CEOs, the company representatives, for giving us this opportunity to work with you and know you, and wish you much success and the best of luck. And for the WIPO team and the patent office teams, thank you for giving us this opportunity to participate in this program.
Thank you very much, Anna, for your insights. You mentioned maybe one of your colleague experts to jump in to give example if one of you from the Israel parts want to take the floor. It's possible.
Yeah, so maybe I'll say just quickly, hi, I'm Leah Kramer. I'll say quickly, I think on behalf of Leah and myself, first, thank you to WIPO and to the Israeli Patent Office and the Canadian for having us on board. We're very happy to participate. I think Einab mentioned, all of our takeaways from this journey together. The one thing that I can emphasize is the understanding through those, one-on-ones, mentoring sessions that some of the companies have, I think all the companies are showing, interesting assets and products and services. A lot of them have dealt with IP matters. What we can see before the sessions, what we can see is and I hope that we emphasize this during the sessions, is that the view of IP matters should be more holistic, not just patent, although it's a significant protection, also viewing, all other elements of the IP world, copyright, trade secrets, designs, etc., and also related areas as privacy and others, which are familiar to some of the companies, but are significant and should be addressed more significantly. And I'm joining what Einab said. Thank you for having us on board, and we do wish success and good luck for everyone. And we're still here to assist if anything is needed. We're waiting to see the success of all the companies ahead. Thank you. Thank you also.
Thank you very much. Natalie, if you want to take the floor now.
Perfect, thank you. Well, thank you to everyone. It's been fantastic collaboration. I think when you bring, two groups from two different parts of the world, you've got cultures coming together. I think it's wonderful. I think, I'd heard from the Canadians that I was working with that they were learning quite a bit from their Israeli counterparts. So I think the collaboration has been great. And Einab, I know it was wonderful to collaborate with you on that presentation as well. So just a couple of things I just wanted to kind of recap as well. And it's funny, I wrote down holistic as well. So thanks for mentioning that. I think it's so important. I mean, we're talking about your intangible assets. So I think what you really, we talk about intellectual property, but we really want to be thinking of them as your intangible assets and really taking a holistic approach to that. And I feel like always the forgotten element of that. We talk a lot about patents and trademarks and acquiring those, but your contracts are very important. And often it starts with that very first initial agreement, whether it's a verbal agreement or a written agreement, right? Right when you start collaborating, talking to someone about ideas, trying to bring on a new team member, trying to talk to a consultant, right away, there can be this leakage of IP, right? So we really want to make sure that we're, always setting ourselves up to understand what relationships are going to look like, particularly when there's a fallout, right? Because you're not going to look at those contracts unless there's a problem, and then they become very, very critical. So I think there continues to be, and I see this a lot with startups and SMEs, a lot of leakage and a lot of lost opportunity and a lot of heartache sometimes with not managing your contracts, which is a very important part of your intangible assets. And in fact, when you go through fundraising, your investors or potential acquirers are going to want to see those customer contracts. They're going to want to see those NDAs. They're going to want to see those assignments from inventors to your company. So those contracts become really critically important. So I think really taking a holistic approach, same thing with, companies mentioned to me, well, we're maintaining this as a trade secret, but we don't have, they don't have a policy around that, and you want to make sure that you're looking at all aspects of intellectual property, and it's not something that you're going to do once and then you're done. You're going to continually be thinking about those intangible assets of your business, those critical things that, drive the value of your business, and you're going to continue to want to keep thinking strategically about those. So I think that's really important. So IP strategy is just it's a moving target. One thing that I will say is just is a way to simplify things also for startups and SMEs is to really tie your spend on IP really to your revenue. I think that is an important, you're not going to be spending in a fashion that Microsoft or Pfizer would be spending. You're not looking to compare yourselves to really large companies. Your spend and your focus on intellectual property should be commensurate with the revenues you anticipate in the near term or the revenues that you have, and really be very focused on that. And some of the things I saw when working with the companies is don't be afraid to call, don't be afraid to abandon certain things that you've done in terms of filings, because those are going to be a distraction. They're not driving value. And so early on, you may file for patents or you may file for trademarks, but the brand changes, the innovation changes. And so sometimes you do need to be getting rid of things that are just no longer core to the business because they're going to be, expensive to maintain. So I think that's really important. The other thing that I see a lot of startups do is, they're filing internationally all over the place, particularly for patents. In the case of patents, just remember that a lot of the value in a patent portfolio is going to be in those really large markets like Europe, like the US, and maybe large countries in Asia. Filing in other countries, particularly as a startup at SME, you really need to think closely on that. And in Femtech, depending on whether you're a software related innovation or what you're dealing with or hardware, you really need to think very strategically in terms of where you're filing. And some people are saying, well, there might be manufacturing in a particular location. You're really trying, when you go to assert those patents, it's going to be where the pot of gold is, right? You're going to bring those lawsuits where there are going to be large damages. So where are those revenues? At the end of the day, I think, again, for startups and SMEs, it's the revenue that drives the strategy. Where is the money? And that's where you want to be protecting yourself. These other secondary markets, a lot of companies really can't afford to be filing in a lot of these smaller countries. It doesn't make sense. And it's not really going to drive that much value to your portfolio anyway. And then for trademarks, use it or lose it. So if you're not using your trademark in jurisdictions where you plan to sell, you're at risk of not being able to maintain that trademark. So that's critically important as well to be thinking about. So I think, again, it just comes back to it really need, your IP portfolio and your strategy around that should really be tied closely to the revenue, either future revenue or current revenue, and a combination of both. But I see too often, the spend doesn't make sense with, where you're at, and you're doing, it's just a distraction to the portfolio. So I would just say that's kind of my 2 cents on things, just to stay tightly focused and yeah, get lots of opinions. There's no harm in continuing to seek out advice from various folks, and continue to refine your IP strategy. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Natalie. We also have from the Canadian part, Mr. Max Yam.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you to WIPO, SIPO, and Israeli Patent Office for putting this together. It was really great to work with the program and the different companies involved. I had a little bit of a unique experience being able to work with companies both on the Israeli and the Canadian side. And it was very interesting to see the differences and similarities between the participants and trying to understand how they're developing and what are some of the challenges and common areas for both the countries. I think the greatest area of commonality, and one that I got the most questions around, was valuation, particularly how to integrate the use of the valuation, what techniques to use during the fundraising process, and particularly how you would be using intellectual property to justify premiums right now, given the challenging fundraising environment. There were a lot of other discussions as well on how to leverage the available non-dilutive funding from either using debt and other instruments, but also using available loans and grants from different accelerator programs, as well as development funds, both in Canada and Israel. I think for companies in both countries, understanding how to really communicate the value of the intellectual property, the moat that it creates for the product or service that you're offering, as well as how it would be a challenge for a competitor to design around or go around this, is something that's really critical for investors to understand, and for you as startups to be able to communicate to these audiences. I think one area that the other experts have also communicated is discussion around trade secret and IP protection at an early stage.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Actually.
I think it's also very important to understand that when you're working with some investors, it's also very important to make sure that you're protecting the trade secrets that you're communicating or maybe communicating, as well as any other intellectual property information that you reveal as part of your fundraising process with investors. It's not uncommon for some large strategic investors or potential partners to be trying to learn about your technology in greater detail than they might need to, with an eye to reverse engineer or replicate a product that you have developed. I think another area that is...
Sorry, Max, you used yourself again. You muted.
That's very strange. Apologies. I'm sorry. Yeah. Another common area is around data strategy and how companies are being integrated into leveraging proprietary data sets that they've created, and again, how that might be justified in evaluation and for fundraising purposes with investors. Data is a often misunderstood asset that can confer a significant competitive advantage to companies, as well as add significant acquisition value for a potential strategic investor or other acquirer. For early stage companies, it's also very important to consider the cybersecurity and also physical security of the sites that you're operating at, any data that may be available or accessible to potential partners, customers, or competitors, as well as making sure that proper exits interviews are conducted with employees to remind them of obligations under existing contracts, but also make sure that they have that access is cut off for, let's say, SharePoint or other cloud services. I think the last area of commonality that both Canadian and Israeli companies had was the focus on fundraising in the US and some of the particular challenges there, particularly around product launching, understanding the market, and cultural similarities in the area. The US is a particular focus because of these similarities that our countries have, the proximity for Canada, as well as the size and value of the overall market. I think the key differences that I noticed for both the Canadian and Israeli companies is the focus and funding available for companies at an early stage. Israel has a much stronger entrepreneurial focus, and programs are much more focused on the growth and commercialization of the intellectual property, while Canada's programs are often more focused on startup creation, as well as targeting specific industries. I think one particular strength that the Israeli companies have compared to the Canadian companies is that they are quite a bit more direct and aggressive in their communications. And I think that's something that Canadian companies could really take away and learn a little bit more, as it helps navigate a much more difficult business environment. Thank you.
Max, could you give an example of the different communication styles between a Canadian and an Israeli company?
Yeah, I actually think during the presentation that I was giving a few months ago, there was a lot more back and forth and discussion. I think Inev was very active in asking questions and being much more collaborative in how the presentation and how the topics were delivered. And I think that is a much, that is definitely a something in Canada we can take away and learn a little bit more and being a bit more dynamic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. I will jump in now and replace Roman until the end of the program. I will moderate. And thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Eina, for your comments and feedback. And if I may say that we are running for a couple of years this program, and many times, even it's a different industry, different countries, we hear similar comments. So it seems that SMEs worldwide have similar problems, but also it was nice to hear from Max. He was in this capacity to work with different companies from different countries. This is actually the first time we're involving in the program several organizers or countries. So it was a more complex, but at the end it brought some new highlights. And also just wanted to clarify that actually our program is about this. It's about not maybe the company will not have all issues, IP issues raised or all problems solved in this area, but it's more to make awareness about this important topic, not to forget it in their because all the problems they have when they just start a business, that this topic should be also in their focus and not be forgotten. So thank you once again to all speakers. And now we turn to our companies that are here with us and would like also to share their experience. We have asked several questions to several companies, and they will elaborate or tell us what would be their takeaway from the clinic, what did they learn, do they have any kind of advice for other startups in this industry. So I have seen some of the names which are on the program, but I will go one by one and call the representative CEO of this company. So we have or should have in the audience Ms. Ronya Rubinstein from Endospot Israel, and Mr. David Alini from Forif Labs Israel, Ms. Irena Haley from New Attitude Design Canada, and Mr. Ren Scott from Daily Goods Design Labs Canada. So wonderful, it seems everyone is here. So Mr. Ronya Rubinstein is developing an innovative target delivery technology for endometriosis therapy with her company Endospot, and significantly reducing side effects for this common 10% of reproductive age women, debilitating and painful disease. Ronya, you are here with us, yes? Or
Here.
hello?
Maybe.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So we'll be a few words about endometriosis and then our company and what we learned here. So endometriosis is a disease affecting about 10% of women who dread their menstrual cycle because of the debilitating pain. It's caused by cells, ones that are in the uterus, in other parts of the body, mainly the peritoneum, that inflame and react to estrogen. And there is no treatment. There is a lot of effort around diagnosis of endometriosis, which is also a challenge. It takes 10 years, maybe more, to diagnose endometriosis. But we have talked to many physicians who say that even if we think it is endometriosis, we don't bother to diagnose because we don't have any good treatments. The ones that are effective are very toxic to the body. They create menopause, so they don't want to use these patients.
They do exist because women deteriorate. It's a progressing disease, and they are. You know, when women get to such progressive states, when they suffer so much, they feel to take this medications. They do also the surgery. And we took an approach that is in a way similar to cancer when we know that something works in the lesions but it's toxic. So we took from different ideas, concepts from different to bring it together to deliver a very specific targeted treatment for endometriosis locally. We're targeting a specific area with superperitoneum right now. It's not for every endometriosis patient, but 85% is in the peritoneum. So we know that if we get there and we have a low dose of a very specific drug, then we are making a revolution in endometriosis. We are a very early stage company, and we have innovative concepts with very little proof of concept. And with this, we came to this thing. How do we juggle the many ideas that we have, the things that we are looking forward about, what we need to show with our technology on the one hand, not being able to sign everybody on an NDA, and we also want to talk about what we are doing. We want people to engage with us. So managing this very conflictual situation was a really big challenge for us. And Cynthia was our mentor on the patent side. And she helped us understand the concepts, how they relate to our development program, what we can, when we will be able, right, to show which concepts are, we will be able to get a patent on, what is anticipated, which we will have to work on now, what is not anticipated, which we can postpone for later, and build a strategy going forward, which really created for us a lot of we are more clear about where we are going, what we can say, what our patents look like, we file the patent, what we can say, what we need to be careful, and use trade secrets. So all this, and when we have to worry about how we move forward, so really the strategy and separating the different concepts and where we are, where we will be, what is anticipated, all these questions was something that was very, 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 very important for us. I can't express it enough because it was so difficult to the other entrepreneurs here that are at the beginning, they know that you want to say everything in one minute, but you don't want to say everything together, you know. So managing this thing is very complicated, and this program here has been absolutely amazing for us to be able to do that and understand the complexities around it and how these things are also relevant to everything else that we are juggling. Right? We're juggling fundraising, we're juggling the R&D, we're juggling the needs. So all the interactions between the different things, and I love the program that it wasn't only IP, our patents, it was IP in general, and we also had like the different other things that we are juggling in the program. So we learned so much during the program. Another issue that we dealt with was trademarks. Thank you, Lisa Nelson. So we chose the name Endospot, but we're not the only Endospot around, which is a big problem from a trademark point of view. We are still Endospot, and this is like my biggest learning for everyone is that when you start with a name and you really need to change it, but you don't do it immediately. It's more difficult because you really love the name, you get used to it, and then changing the name is very difficult. So we are still juggling a few names, give ourselves a deadline by the end of the year to change the name because we said otherwise, you know, and it's very difficult. So we should have given ourselves a deadline 6 months ago.
The problem is because I think 2 years ago, right?
So this is the big learning, right? It's the knowledge but also the emotional part, right? That if you know you need to change something, choose a name, engage early with people who can help on that, and choose a name that you will use from a trademark point of view. That is still something we are learning.
Thank you. It's a learning process.
Yeah.
On the way.
So these two things have been very material learnings for us and helped us quite a lot. And the whole program was very important and gave us a lot of right into our work program, right? We need to look at this and look at that, the different issues that came out, the TRL with implemented, the way she explained it, and again, this really became into our working program. The evaluations with Maxia and how do we communicate our IP. So there were a lot of learnings around things that were here. Which we appreciate very much.
Thank you very much
for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much, Ronya. And I understand that your experience was mainly positive with this program and that you have enjoyed. Wish you all the success for the future. And let's move now to the second company from Israel. We have Mr. David Limi from 4Eve Labs. And 4Eve is a bioscience startup leading the way in epigenetic cellular anti-aging treatments. And the company is dedicated to fertility treatments, and they are on mission to provide hope for those struggling to conceive. So I think I saw Mr. Limi in the audience. Mr. Limi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can I share one slide?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if I can share.
If not, I think Roman will help you.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, just let me know when you see my slide.
It's okay now. Works well.
Great.
Yes.
So first of all, thank you everybody, the organizer and all the professionals for all the knowledge, the tips that you were willing to share. And it was very, very important for us as a company and for me personally to have this knowledge and to understand more and be able to ask sometimes some tough questions. So I apologize if sometimes I was a bit too much pushy in the subject, but it was very, very important for us. I'm not going to explain to you about 4Eve and everything. It's a full presentation and we don't have time for that. But I would like to give my takeaway and my 2 cents about the whole program and maybe some tips about the syllabus. The first thing that I would like to say is from my experience with IP, it's always too late to consult with an expert. So the earliest you do that, even before your scientist, whoever is going to do provisional or whatever it is, just to say, I'm protected, well, we need to have an expert first. And the expert is not always only the IP. I think the product manager is the king, because he's the one that is going to say, this is going to be something we will build a company around, we will commercialize. We are not Qualcomm, we are not Broadcom, we are not a company just protecting IP just for the purpose of blocking the world. We are companies that are trying to monetize this. So the way you draft the IP, the way the angle, the perspective you're giving into your discovery or into the business or whatever you want to do is highly depending on what is going to be the outcome. And just as a personal example, you don't need to have 84 claims in a patent when you need to reduce that to 15 and 20 for US and Europe, and you're stuck with that with China, and then it's cost. And then that's something that you can learn from there on if you consult with someone which is smart and know how to give you the right direction. So I said FOMO, the first of missing out. It is something. It is really driving people just to say, okay, let's do something. Let's have an action. Let's present something. Sometimes we'll think about it twice before the publication even, and before the scientific publication, which is really pushy to have the presentation, to have the submission for provisional. Get consultancy from the early beginning before you publish anything, no matter if it is a patent or if it is a publication of whatever it is. The second thing is related to that, and I mentioned that about the product. What's in it for me? What I'm going to do with that? Now I have an asset. Is it the assets that I can leverage, or I need to change it? Do I have to do a second provisional before I do a PCT because it was not good enough? And that's something which is critical because it's time consuming, it's money, and it's very, very strict, and you're all facing that. So all this thought is very important. I heard a lot of people talking about strategy. Let's take that one level below. Just a plan, just having a plan. I mean, I'm always saying to everybody around myself, not family and work, not having a plan is the best plan to miss it. And I think the plan is really critical. And it's maybe my first tip for the syllabus, giving a plan from the beginning, saying, guys, when you do an IP, I see a lot of Gantt and things like this, really describing this is what is going to happen, okay? I first learned about IDS in the US 2 weeks ago, and I got it with the invoice that I need to pay for things that it was not in my budget, and I need to face that. So it's very important to have a plan. And I think building a plan for an IP could be a very good session for or each one should build a plan and come back with a plan, saying, this is your work, take that home, come back next time, you have a plan. It's part of all this process. The second thing is the strategy, what I call global, local. We personally at 4eve, we had to cut. We had to decide which country, because we couldn't be everywhere. I was nasty with the people, with my agent here. I mean, I made an RFP. I checked with company in the world. I tried to reduce the cost, everything. I drove him nuts, really, because I wanted to save on translations. People don't talk about that, but I wanted to save on translation. When you started to do Japan, China, Korea, Brazil, it's a lot of money. And people need to understand when they started, it's part of their market study. So again, the product manager, is it really the country I want to protect my IP into? I will be able to carry on with that. Japan is expensive. Every 6 months it's expensive, and all the documentation and everything. Do I really need to protect in this country? But I can answer that just flipping a coin. I need to know that because it's part of my strategy and part of my plan. So at the end of the day, you look at what is best in your industry and you said, okay, these are the country where I should protect. So the potential investor or my current investors are happy with the geography I'm covering. And then you get into the relationship with patent and patent attorneys. It's a different type of people. You're speaking a different language. We don't speak the same. I mean, we all have our socialite, and we need to understand what is the socialite of IP. So I think it's like a lawyer or a chartered accountant. You need to have a patent attorney that you have the same intimacy that you have with your lawyers. And to build that, recommendation is important. The field you are working in is very important. And I know it's tough when you are coming from the IP world to say those things, but I think it's very important for a company to understand that and to say, guys, find the guy that you believe in and that will be able to carry on with you in this process. Now, also an important part for me is budget. We haven't talked too much about money in this in all those sessions. And I think it's very important. There's an incredible the level of information in WIPO website about all the costs for every country with all the experts. The only thing that I'm missing is a calculator, by the way. Now with AI, you can build a calculator, say these are the countries, but the level of information is incredible. So, and I think it's very important to present that because I was able to get into that, and from this website, there is 2 gains for me. The first one, I'm probably the first startup in Israel submitting SME in EPO and getting 10K discount. We did that. And the people here were saying, you know, it's difficult if you don't comply with everything, they can refuse and you may lose your submission. Guys, we're good. We did that. We saved 10K. We saved 40% of our submission in Europe. And the second thing is we're short in money and we confirmed that 42 months in Canada. And then it was very important for us as well because we can play and we have a plan. And I think this is what we do as startup guys, our job is to juggle those things. And at the end, I think Natalie talked about maintenance. Also, it's very important. IDS is an example, an action is an example, 5K. I mean, you need to pay all those things. So people need to understand that this is part of the cost of the product and it should be budgeted, and don't get short because you will have to cut your patent and it's very difficult. So I would say it's more from how to manage the life of the patents that I think it could be added. And it was in many presentations. I remember, I think it's in that presentation at the beginning that talked about trade secret or going directly for a patent or knowing if you really need to protect that, where you can protect a business model and where you can protect. And it's very important, but it was really at the beginning. And I think I caught that only at the end. But it was there. It's just a question of structure. So the plan. And being able to coach during this period, people just to be able to understand how they need to do all those things. That's, but for me, it was overall an incredible experience, and it allowed me really to be on top of my IP. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, David. And we have taken note of all your suggestions, but it's also to say from our side, sometimes we think it's difficult, it's different if there are just clinics offering individual sessions. And on the other side, here we are trying, bringing people, even as you can see, from different countries, cultures, different experience, different products. So sometimes it's very challenging for us to offer for everyone something. But however, you can, as you say, go to a patent attorney, and here it's about discussing, meeting all these people, and opening your mind, just making increasing the awareness about all these topics, not going into depth. Definitely we can't, give all the special services, but exactly from what you say, I understand that you have already seen what works for you or for it doesn't work. So very valuable experience, and thank you for sharing. So let's move to our third company, and we have two companies from Canada, and I saw Miss Haley and Miss Scott is with us, and Miss Irene Haley is from New Attitude Designs. And New Attitude, it's a vertically integrated company that researches and develops assistive devices focusing on the needs of women and with an emphasis on conditions resulting from disease such as cancer or the unmet needs of women that are due to aging. So Ms. Haley, Irene, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure I know I speak on behalf of all the businesses that participated, how grateful we are. I know there's a lot of work to put together a program like this, and just coordinating all the different agencies, all the expertise. And I'm sure you put all this work in, the program ends, there's silence, and you wonder whether or not all the work you did was effective. But I can tell you it has been. And I think what you have done, what this program has done, is place the seeds in the businesses to help them prosper in the future. So it may not be apparent right away, but I know for sure that we've all changed as a result. We're much more sort of like insiders as opposed to outside the world of IP. We're now we have a foot on the insiders world. And I think also being able to have this much interactions with professionals and seeing the professionals interact amongst themselves reminded me a bit when you start going to medical surgeons meetings or medical meetings, you begin to see the culture of this field of expertise and have a better sense of how people look at the world. So therefore, when you start participating, I think there's a greater level of comfort. So for my part, I just listening to the speakers today and throughout the program, I wanted to start with what Konstantinos was saying about how they discovered there's a greater there's a lot of IP that's unexploited in small businesses. And I think that's particularly amongst the femtech industry, partially because, as we know, the term femtech is fairly recent. And I think that a lot of femtech companies, or a lot of companies in general, start out because there's a general interest in the product and in the service and what and the needs of the population. And I think, therefore, there's a lot of unexploited IP in small businesses. And I think a program like this helps the CEO, the founder of the business, take greater risks at exploiting the IP and developing the IP, because there's less uncertainty, because we're actually more knowledgeable. So I think the ability to evaluate the IP within the company is heightened because of this program. And I think also because of some of the funding that's available in Canada. As a result of that, I think we're much more astute, probably I'm sure much more better to exploit some of the financial support that we're receiving. So I think that, again, this sort of education that we received is going to sort of display its benefits in the years to come. It may not be apparent in the first 6 months, but I truly feel that it's taken the people who participated from the sort of a general average person's understanding of IP, and sort of given them the platform that they can start sort of self-educating themselves much further. I've looked at the WIPO's manual, like 146 pages, and I don't think I would have tried to read it prior to this program, but I have started to sort of delve further in it. So I think the way the program was organized, that you had discussions, you had print material, you had videos, was very good at sort of taking knowledge and finding multiple ways of people to access it. And I think having the videos afterwards is extraordinarily important, because I think I've gone back and I've learned things for the first time, even though I know I was a participant in the first time the program, the first time the video was created. So again, I want to thank everybody and just let you know that your efforts have not gone without impact, because there's a tremendous amount of impact. I would say for our company, for my company, one of the strong takeaways are the contracts. As Natalie was saying, leakage, lost opportunity, and heartache. And I think that contracts, collaborations are one of the first things you do, even in the process of developing IP. And I should say, for most of my company's history, we've been able to keep our IP, develop our IP in-house and keep our IP as a trade secret. But even I realized it was beginning to hold us back, particularly when you start considering the ability now to scale through new manufacturing technologies. So I think having this program right now was very fortuitous. But I also would say that, you can't stop from needing contracts. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways I had was when you contract, the non-disclosures agreements, how important they are to have in it, what exactly you need in order to protect your IP. And in general, I've always found some of the service providers I work with are also other small businesses, and they can be tremendously aggressive because, they themselves are sitting on a lot of equipment they've bought in order to be, say, a service provider in the 3D printing industry. They have to sort of recuperate their investment. So I've always found them to be very, very aggressive, which has caused me to kind of retract a bit because of my concerns of disclosing IP. So again, I think the work that was done here, the work on contracts, has really given me the confidence to shape a contract, be more knowledgeable what should be in it, and also be more forceful, because I think it's much more easier to be forceful when you know what you're requesting is the norm and you know what you're requesting is appropriate. So again, I think going back to femtech, maybe going back to founders who maybe are in business because they have a strong belief in the content, in the product and the service that they're delivering. So sometimes I think you see yourself, the business part comes secondary to that. So I think, again, the information about contracts is invaluable. And the other thing it's done for me, it's made me better able to assess the IP strategy of the people I collaborate with. So there's someone I'm going to be working with in the near future to develop some of the products I have. We're going to work on 3D printing them in new materials. And just speaking with him has led me to believe that this owner of the company maybe doesn't have an IP strategy for his own employees. And before I go forward, I have to clarify with this person how he's going to protect my IP within his company. So even though, yes, I could sue him, that doesn't do me much good if he has had a very flaccid control over how his employees treat the IP that's coming to the company. So again, I have to give my gratitude to this program. It's made me much more astute. So I am collaborating with a lawyer now to go forward and to look at writing a patent application. And I took it far enough that I decided it would be better to keep it as a trade secret. However, in my exhaustive research of prior art, I realized something within this sort of portfolio of this product, something that I thought was secondary, I could exploit. There was strong grounds to focus on that as a patent application, and what I thought should be the patent application, I actually should continue to protect as IP, because I think that there's a little bit too much fuzziness in the prior art. So again, I think the ability to make those decisions and the confidence with which to make them, and then the strategy about going forward really did come from this program. I'm very grateful. I feel much more emboldened, much more confident in my decisions, and much more able to partner with an IP lawyer as a co-partner, and not dependent upon them educating me. I feel as if I'm coming into it now with a strong knowledge base. And I also wanted to say, there was a few comments. I wanted to stress how important it was to sort of listening to the experts talk amongst themselves. So there was, and sometimes the asides that people would have as they were leading the panels were the sort of little nodules of knowledge that really stuck in my mind. So Enev at one point, she said that somebody had asked her how you deal with different types of companies bringing different fields of expertise. And she said, you can't be an expert in everything. So as an IP lawyer, you're really dependent upon the education you get from the company. And that also stayed in my mind. And I realized how effective I have to be in my communications about what it is that, the content of what I'm trying to lay claim to. And it really is incumbent upon me to educate the person that I'm working with. So what else can I say, except for that it was wonderful. And I just want you all to know that how grateful we all are. That to feel as if you've really, I think, educated, you've raised the bar for all of us. And as you go forward, the more programs you do like this, I feel as if you're just raising the awareness, like just the general means by which we can go forward in business. And I'm very, very grateful. And I probably could talk even more about the things I've taken from. I'll leave it now, and thank you again.
Thank you, Renee. You make us also more self-confident about the things we do, and sometimes it's just about that, to not be afraid and dive into certain topics. And you said it very nicely. This is how it sounds to me. I mean, just taking sometimes risk, it's part of the game. So I'm very happy to hear that this program had this kind of impact on you. Thank you sincerely. So, and last but not least with us is Ren Scott, also from Canada, and I will read my few lines about her company. So Renee is from Daily Goods Design Labs. That is a design research and innovation consultancy now based in Hamilton, Ontario. We did their practice, they create their own signature products. So Renee, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to share some slides as well. I'll just ask Jim Hinton, who is my mentor as well, if he'd like to add any comments as we go through, that would be amazing. So before diving into the my summary discussion, I just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce you to myself and also to my startup, my company. So I am a product design leader. My startup, Daily Goods Design Labs, as mentioned, is a design research and innovation consultancy. And we specialize in a human-centered, or the application of a human-centered and inclusive design method. We use this mindset and this philosophy to design the products that we create from start to finish. And we, for those of you that are familiar with this type of process, you know that you think about the people that you're designing for. You look to be, excuse me, empathetic, and designs things specifically for them. So we prioritize our end users. We believe that this allows us to, lead to useful and appropriate digital and physical experiences. And this means, prioritizing them, engaging them throughout the design process. Seen here on the left are pregnant women. They represent, in a case of an example that I'll show you, the target market that we're designing for. Different than being just end users in this case, they're actually some of the material artists or material specialists and designers that worked on projects with me. So they not only understand what the women want and need, but they also understand what can exist in the future based on what technology can enable as well. So with our projects to date, we've gained extensive experience in developing female-focused products. We really advocate for designs that empower women's health, sports innovation, and technology. I know with this audience, you are the audience for this. You know why this is important, and you're well aware of the need. We have various frameworks that we use. This at a very high level. We think about, where are people, what are they doing, time of day, etc. Context is really critical for our designs. And frameworks such as this really help us, frame the experience that we're creating, but also the questions that we need to ask from start to finish. Some of our key insights, thinking of the value that technology provides is certainly something that has been reiterated to me, and something that continued to be reiterated as I went through a lot of the recordings of, on my side, I always think about experiences, designs, the end outcomes, and the products, but certainly the value of choosing a technology is really based on, what's going to be the most useful for that type of person and audience. So thinking of the, functionality, the things that are useful for everyday experiences. We've really focused on the things that women wear and carry. How do they integrate technology into their day? And in particular, for some of the design patents that we currently have, we have a series of, we call them our signature products, maker wear, and this is modern workwear collection. Our target audience in this case is design and the research industry. So we looked at the tools and tech that women wear and carry on a daily basis, and we looked at, what does that mean? We have these garments really are kind of like wireframes for the type of garments and accessories that could exist in the future. They're not only functional and protective, but they're also fashionable and practical. Right now, they're purely what I call dumb tech. They're not enabled but with technology. But the idea is in the future, we also look at, if we do integrate technology into them, what would that mean? And how would that then further enhance the tech and tools that women would be carrying in the case of the context of their work? So along with, what I mentioned at the beginning of the types of things that we're creating, we design products. We look at services as well. One example of the product example is a female-focused product. For those in Canada would be familiar with Myant. This is Myant Skin wearable technology. The example I'm sharing here was actually showcased at CES now in 2020. It's an innovative product that integrates health sensors into a tank top, underwear, and belly band. Belly band is what I'm featuring on this slide. And the idea with this was to support women's and babies' health needs, with the idea of empowering the mom to proactively manage her and the baby's health. So this is work that I did with a team that I led at Myant. And in this case, the garments captured data to be displayed on a platform and app. The system itself, it included the smartphone device, garments with accessories, the garments with sensors as well, that then could be accessed and used on a mobile and then also on a platform. So what brought us to this program and where we are at now? One thing that we all have, all of us on this call, is that we're aging. What I wanted to enable and looking to empower as I age, I want to have something that's ready for me. So this idea is a platform for women that are over 55 to lead active and connected lives through an intuitive and inclusive platform. We want to really break down the fitness barriers that women have, really looking at how do we educate them, make them aware, help them record and understand the data that they are able to capture. Some of the typical barriers that women in this age group may have, lack of information, lack of understanding. I mean, we're all very aware of the data that is or isn't captured these days. For systems like this, there can be cost issues, in particular for what we want to create, which is the kind of like health and wellness, sports prescriptive type of information, is that we know based on data, again, the programs that may become available can have, they might be unsuitable. There can also be skill gaps that women in this age group have, and also just to be able to access this type of, fitness or activities with the, as we age, we can kind of be in between of, having families, being caregivers, etc., is that we know that there's also issues with scheduling, simply being able to get out to be able to exercise. So with that in mind, this platform idea is in discovery stage, and it has been from the beginning of this program and still remains in that current stage. So what is our struggle? What are the issues, the things that we've struggled most in our business journey? How I would frame this, certainly after having a chance to go through this program, is that I would say our struggle is actually our strength. Our strength is our biggest weakness. A typical challenge for startups in discovery stage is validating market need. We all know it's crucial to ensure there's genuine demand for our solutions. We want to, solve a real problem for our customers, and without validating, we will, of course, risk investing time and resources into something that we may not have a market fit for. So for us, we're really great at market research, gathering data on our target audiences. We understand trends, understand the landscape. That's not a problem. We engage with our potential customers. We're specializing in this co-creation technique. Again, this idea of, working with and designing beside the, users that we're creating for. We're great at speaking with target markets to gain insights and so on. We're also really good, because I'm a product designer, product design leadership and so on. That's my background. That's why I need slides to talk, because I'm a visual person. So I can certainly, with my team, create simplified versions of products to test with early adopters and so on. But where we have a gap is actually enabling the technology, having that partner, having those people to build alongside of us in order to take the ideas that we have, enable them so that we can capture the data to then, of course, to then prove that the ideas that we have are patentable and novel, because without doing that, we are remaining in this conceptual stage of functionality that we want to exist, that we know that is needed. So with that in mind, what's new and what needs to change and is changing, and thanks to people such as Jim and Max, the conversations I've had and listening back to the recordings, is that we really have been focused on the outcomes being the functional designs, the garments, the accessories you're creating, got static versions of those as now garments. We have conceptual functional ideas for things such as the chatbot, but again, these are not technology enabled, they're concept ideas. What I've found from listening, and I think Natalie reiterated this, as many people have as well, is that we conducting the IP audit is not just on the things that we have ideas for that are novel and new that we will be creating, but for us, really the the methods, the processes are critical to protect. We do embed already these inclusive design principles in our development process from start to finish. But a conversation I had with Jim last week was really that, for me, reflecting on this as a program, that it's not the end outcome. Well, it is the end outcomes that we have in mind that are patentable. But as we have this barrier of enabling them with technology, I see more that where we have uniqueness and value is within our design process from start to finish. So carefully documenting what we do and how we do it feels like that is really the larger opportunity and something that is not done. We can trademark it, we can look at it from that way, but my belief is that there's really something there. The next is securing our platform idea, exploring, so recommendations to others, prioritizing and formalizing verbal agreements around IP ownership and rights. This has come up with an issue with the current client that I have, that we didn't have a SOW that included copyright. So we're now in conversations to talk about, what may be being used in other instances for our framework and our way of working. So that's in addition to now the end outcomes that we have in mind. One thing that's come up also with recommendations, other actively network with those in the community. Myself have been holding off reaching out to others to kind of get to the stage of saying, this is what I have that's patentable, give me your feedback, what do you think? I see that as a real gap myself in the opportunity that this provided, is to now kind of share with you where we are, and yeah, certainly looking for some direct feedback on how to make that opportunity come to life in the next few months. Leveraging design patents and technology integration, we're focusing on our concept ideas. We're also looking at, further securing the patents that we have, specifically for the garments that I showed at the beginning. As we integrate technology, have the opportunity to do that. We'll continue to assess the patentability of those. And, with a tech team, partner, line that with a roadmap with the testing and regulatory requirements. There's a bit of a roadmap here that I'm happy to share with others that may want to collaborate or partner with us. Love to hear from you. And lastly, our biggest takeaways. So for me, what I always like to frame 3 questions at the end. I always ask people for any product or process that we're testing is like, what did you like best about the experience that was provided? What I liked best certainly was, I would say, the direct comments, the direct feedback, the direct conversation. I would love direct feedback on this presentation and where I am at within this process. What I liked least, I would take the onus for this one. I would say the hands-on work after the sessions, being able to then, work through the ideas that were discussed in a fashion which then was almost like a homework assignment to lead into the next one. And one thing I would change would be, taking that opportunity more to connect and collaborate with everyone else.
Thank you so
lastly,
much.
just sharing my email.
Sorry.
Please reach out an email. I'm sorry, I delayed.
No.
Reach out an email, reach out to me on LinkedIn if I'm not already connected with you, and look forward to next steps.
Yes, wonderful, Ren. And I think I can only align with your last comment. This is how we feel about the whole thing, and great that this is also the case with some of our participants, and hopefully more than almost with and the experts as well. So all together, I can hear some positive feedbacks, and that's these are great news. Now, without further ado, or maybe if someone else from the companies in the audience would like to take the floor and say something, you are most welcome. Or I see Jim is also with us. Would you like to follow up on something, Jim, or?
No, just saying, very happy to be part of the program, and Ren, very happy to help you and the rest of the team. This is a great, well-needed program, and one of many resources that are out there. So congratulations, and looking forward to hearing the successes of all the companies that participated as they continue to scale and grow.
Thank you very much, Jim. And now we will give the floor to one of our colleagues who will also present you one of our programs, WIPO programs, the Global Awards program, if you're not familiar, because this is also one of the opportunities for you that can maybe make you even more successful. So I'm very happy, pleased to welcome Mr. Benjamin Holtz from the WIPO Awards team. Benjamin, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Hope everybody hears me. Yes, perfect.
Oh,
can you see the screen as well?
Yes.
First of all,
it's not in presentation mode.
Let's
Maybe
do that.
Yes.
Is it now? Good. First of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present the WIPO Global Awards here. I will keep it short because we are already like a little bit over time. What are the WIPO Global Awards? It's the UN's highest IP innovation award. It's focusing on small and medium-sized enterprises and startups who leverage IP-backed innovation. So perfect audience here. We are industry agnostic, so companies from all kinds of industries, health, environment, agri-food, ICT, creative industries can apply for. For us, the main criteria for evaluating the applications is how is IP used in the business model in order to drive revenue growth, but also like having an impact on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. Normally, like this year, we had around 800 applications. 9 of them were invited to Geneva. So next year, we will have 10 winners invited to Geneva. What do the winners get? They get a tailored mentoring on IP commercialization. So we try to do an analysis with the different companies. What are the biggest needs in terms of IP, but also other business needs? And then we try to match them with a mentor. We give them additional access to the WIPO network and other IP management resources. The application period starts on 15th of January next year and goes until 31st of March. What I want to highlight here in particular is like for next year, we're introducing 2 new special mentions. So out of the winners, we will also select the best female founder and also the best young founder. And I think that could be really interesting for this group here as well. So that's just, again, the rundown. So application period is in Q1. The finalists will be announced around mid of May. The winners then out of the finalists will be selected end of May, and then we will have the award ceremony in Geneva around the 2nd week of July. So that's a little bit on the logistics. What kind of companies can apply? So I said already before, small and medium-sized enterprises and startups. For us, the most important things are it needs to be a registered business entity for the SMEs. It needs to have less than 300 employees and less than 15 million in annual sales and have at least 1 registered IP right. Can be a patent, can be a copyright, can be anything. And the products and services should be exported or sold at least to 1 other country than the home country. For startups, we are a little bit easier. So the company should be only 3 years old, less than 50 employees. From an IP point of view, and 1 IP right should have been filed or registered, not yet granted. So that's where we are a little bit easier on it. And ideally, you would have a collaboration or an association with a support organization like an accelerator, university, but also this IP clinic would be something like that. And you should have at least 1 customer or 1 investor. On the right side of the slide, you see the assessment criteria. So we look at strategy, IP portfolio. So how does the IP strategy or the IP portfolio fit into the strategy? IP culture, how is IP embedded into the operations of the company? How is IP playing into the internationalization strategy? And then at the end, also, how is the IP and has an impact on a better society? So that's really like what we look at. That's the team. I can really encourage all of you to apply there. If you apply, you can always reach out to us if you have questions around the award, the questions, what is asked there. I think we can also share the presentation after this, so you have that as a document. What is really important, if you decide to apply, on the last page on the application form, there is a specific question, where are you coming from, or what is the source, where did you hear about the awards? Please click here the IP clinics, because then we know that you went through this program, and then we have a much closer and more focused look on your application. So that would be the IP, the WIPO Global Awards. I would encourage all of you to participate. It's a huge benefit, and I think it would be a right continuation of your journey within WIPO.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Ben, we cannot agree more with you, with your statement. And now we have a little bit more time. I think we are scheduled to finish in 4:25 Geneva time, or in around 10 minutes. So please, if someone has any questions, you can raise your hand or write in the chat box.
I have a question. There was a meeting on July the 18th. We received videos for all of our interactions except for July 18th. And I think it was Romaine Plains is someone who could help us with that or give us some info if that's available.
Sure, Irene, we will look into this and come back to you and everyone else. And Roman is just telling me that we were supposed to finish at 4. So I'm sorry for, it's just the most recent program. It was a little bit slightly different timing. Anyway, you can still write to us, to all of us, and ask your question. You can write to the experts, to WIPO, to the Israeli Patent Office, Canadian Intellectual Property Office, and of course, we would love to stay in touch with you. And before we conclude, once again, thank you to all the speakers, expert participants, and our colleagues from the Israeli Patent Office and Canadian Intellectual Property Office. And your dedication and collaboration have been our driving force to our small team. So on behalf of WIPO and also the other co-organizer, thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you in the next occasion. And we wish you all continued success. I will ask also if there is anything that the Canadian Intellectual Property Office or the Israeli Patent Office want to share at the end. The floor is yours. Otherwise, here we have from Mr. Georg Garas. It was great working with colleagues from ILPO and WIPO on this meaningful initiative. Thank you. And maybe Renana, the floor is yours, maybe just to conclude the session. Thank you.
I will give the floor to Karin because you worked very hard for this.
Great, great. Karin, please. Few words. I know she's also very passionate about this industry. So
I was planning on saying that in Hebrew, but okay. I will just introduce myself for somebody who doesn't know me. So my name is Karin, and I work as a senior patent examiner in technology and head of gender and IP at the Israeli Patent Office. And this is the first time that Israel initiates and participates in this project. And I'm really happy that it's on FemTech. When I first suggested this area, I'm really embarrassed to say that nobody knew what I'm talking about. And I really hope that this program helps to raise the awareness of the importance of and also to raise the awareness of the importance of IP for commercializing femtech. So thank you everybody, and thank you other representatives from WIPO and the Canadian office, and of course the Israeli Patent Office for making this happen. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Karin. Thank you, everyone, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
סינתיה. וסינתיה, גם את. סליחה.
זו אני. מה עשיתי?
תישארי בזום.
אוקיי.
אוקיי, סילביה וורוניקה, הם הלכו, ביי. לא, ידיים, לא חושבת שוורוניקה באמת פה.
לא בטוח שהיא פעם הייתה. היא גם לא דברת את זה. אני לא חושבת שדברת את זה.
כן, זה הלכה.
טוב, נעשה את זה ממש ממש טוב.
ספרו לנו כמה דברים. תודה רבה.
ממש נראה לי
כן, תגיש.
להתראות.
ואני עושה את זה ממש קצר, גם לא תצמאתי לדבר באנגלית, בסדר, נעשה את זה ממש קצר, שוב לי נראה לי היחידה שלא נפגשנו את זה באופן אישי ביום באמת, את היחידה שנפגשנו נראה לי. וגם סילביה.
אני בקושי שומעת אותה.
אוקיי. בכל מקרה, אני רוצה ככה לשמוע אם היו כל יותר חברות, אז אולי היה עוד אימפקט, אבל באמת היה לעבוד מול הקנדים, ונושא אחד שאנחנו צריכות קיבלנו תגובות לגביו, את התגובות שלכם, וגם לגבי חסר משהו בתוכנית, ואתם יכולות להציע איזשהם רעיונות לשיפור תוכניות עתידיות.
The floor is all yours. זה מצד החברות. אגב, לפני שאנחנו מתחילים, אני אתקצר, כי אני רואה שגם החברות הקנדיות לא עלו לזום, וגם אצלנו, מי שלא הגיע לא עלה לזום. משהו שכן. דוד הגלים דיבר. שרית. זהו.
לא, אבל היו פה שתי חברות.
נכון. היו 11 חברות. אז זה קצת הפתיע אותי שזה לא היה... לא?
אני חושבת שהרבה נעצרו עם ההזדקה הזאתי, וגם תקשיבו, אני נורא רציתי לפגוש את כולם, אבל זה, על השעה וחצי של הנסיעה זה היה מסביב 4 שעות, לא יכולתי להרשות לעצמי היום.
זה לוגיסטיקה.
אם היה אירוע שמלכתחילה היה מתוכנן כאירוע זומי, אולי היו יותר אנשים. אני התכתבתי עם חלק ואמרו לי שיצאו וההזעקה עצרה אותם.
אוקיי, בסדר.
אפשר להאשים את ההזעקה.
את התימנים, לא את ההזעקה, את התימנים.
כן, זה לא סתם.
שתתנו לגבי
שהייתה בעיניי פעולה מצוין, גם היא הייתה מקסימה, ונפגשנו כמה פעמים כזה פרום, גם כדי לעשות כזה תאום ציפיות, וגם ברמה של, כן, להראות את הפרזנטציות אחת השנייה, לראות שאנחנו בעצם את חפיפה, וחלקניות מדי, ושהכל כאילו באמת מתפסה. זה היה שיתוף פעולה מוצלח בהיבט הזה בעיניי מאוד, אישה מאוד משלימה, ושמחתי גם להכיר אותה אישה לאישה, לראות כאילו גם שהיא משפחה, ויש כאילו, היו דברים מכנה משותף, ואת האינטראקציה מול החברות, זה מוצלח, הדבר היחיד שאני ישראליות, כן? שהיה צריך, אגב, גם הקנדיות פנו אליי, היו, כאילו הייתה יכולת שהדרך הלימודים, כאילו ההרצאות, כן כתבו לי, כאילו מאוד נהנינו, עוד כל מיני כאלה, אבל אני כן חושבת שאפשר לקפשר, כן להביא חברות בשלבים קצת יותר ראשוניים, לפחות בהיבטים של הברנדינג, ממה שאני רואה. אני ראשונה באמת גם לבדל בין החברות, שהיו מאוד קטנים בשלב של הברנדינג. אני חושבת שאחד באמת אחרי ההרצאות הם בנו, וגם תוך כדי ושאלו וזה כמה קנדים, אבל אני לא חושבת שהייתה עבודה מפרה. יש המון מקום, בעיקר לחברות ישראליות, ללמוד עם חברות סקון אמריקאיות. זה היה רעיון שזה... שתיים מאיתן וקנדי לא היה, קנדי מאיתן להיות חתוכים. אבל הוא לא ישראלי. אני אגיד לכם, מלכתחילה כשדיברנו איתם, אנחנו אמרנו להם, אנחנו רוצים שתהיה אינטראקציה, שהמומחים, האקספרטס יהיו קנדים לישראלים. יש קושי מהותי, כי אני חושבת שאתם כרשות שהיא רשות פטנטים, אבל אתם מסתכלים על זה מאוד מפריזמה של עולמות תוכן גלובליים מאוד, וכשמתרחקים לעולמות הקניין הרוחני היותר רחבים, אז יש המון דיפרנציאציה. היכולת של אקספרט ישראלי או קנדי לתת גיידנס כאילו על השלבים הראשונים היא יותר מוגבלת בעולמות היותר רחבים. עכשיו לדעתי, במה שראינו, בכל הסשנים שבהם הייתי, כל החברות באו עם ידע מסוים, יותר חזק בעולמות הפטנטים, ופחות חזק ביתר העולמות. אבל הם שוגים, זה טעות רצינית בשבילם. כן, נכון, אבל מה שנקרא פתוח מסכים. זה בעייתי, כי הם לא מכסים את כל הפריזמה של מה שהם יכולים להגן על עצמם בעלויות יותר נמוכות. אז דווקא בהיבטים האלה, הגלובליות היא מורכבת. אבל צריך לעשות את זה בצורה כאילו מיינדפול לזה שיש הבדלים. לא יכול לעשות את זה לגמרי פתוח. או עם משרדים שקצת יותר קרובים גם בגישות שלהם, אני חושבת אולי, לא יודעת. למשל. אירופאי, האיחוד האירופאי, זה מה שיכול להתכתב יותר עם ישראל.
אני חושבת אחרת קצת. אני חושבת קודם כל שזה שעשיתם תוכנית גלובלית שלא התבטלה בתקופה הזאת, זה דבר גדול מאוד, כי יש הרבה מאוד ביטולים ובידוד של ישראל, ולכן העובדה שהייתה תוכנית גלובלית רק בתקופה הזאת, זה דבר ראשון שהיה ממש חיובי. הדבר השני, אני חושבת שזה כל מה שאפשר לקבל מווייפו, גם הם שילמו, לא נשכח, זה משהו מצוין, והמקום הזה של לקחת מווייפו תמיכה לדברים ישראלים, שיש לנו עכשיו גם כל מיני רעיונות נוספים, אני אומרת לנו, כי אני קצת מרגישה שייכת לחלק מהרעיונות, אז אני חושבת שהמסגרת של ווייפו היא מסגרת מצוינת. אני מסכימה עם מה שנאמר שלא הייתה יותר מדי עבודה עם החברות הקנדיות, אבל כן הייתה אפשרות לקבל מומחיות שלא הייתה רגילה. אני חושבת שברמת הבסיס אני לא ראיתי שהיו יותר מדי הבדלים, נגיד עם מה שנתנה נטלי או אני או יעל או לי, סינתיה, אם היינו קנדיות או יודעת מה, תימניות או ישראליות, הבסיס היה אותו דבר. המומחיות המיוחדת, היא הייתה מיוחדת. זאת אומרת, מי ששמע, נגיד את סינתיה שמדברת על פארמה, או מי ששמע את המקס הזה, או מי ששמע את אלנה, זה לא דברים שגרתיים. אז דווקא היכולת לקבל דברים בפינות המומחיות, אני חושבת שהם כן חשובים, זה אאוטריץ' קצת יותר משמעותי מאשר נגיד רק המקום שלנו. אז אני רואה את זה קצת אחרת. אני מאוד בעד שיתופי פעולה עם ווייפו, ובעד ממש לעשות אפילו רשימת קניות, מה אנחנו יכולים לקבל מהם, ושחלק, אני באמת חושבת שבצורה הנוכחית, יש צורך לתמוך בשוק הישראלי בכל דבר שאפשרי, ואם אפשר להביא תמיכה מבחוץ, זה מצוין. זו דעתי.
טוב, אני אגיד בהקשר הזה שזה גם מורכב, כי צריך לזכור שישראל, כאילו אני אומרת את זה ביחס למה איך ווייפו תופסים אותנו. בסוף יש גישה מאוד משמעותית בווייפו שתומכת במדינות מתפתחות, והם רואים את ישראל כמדינה, מה שנכון, שאינה מתפתחת, לא, זה כן נכון במובן הזה, שהם כאילו לפעמים מרגישים שאנחנו כאילו, בואו, אתם תתנו במקום שרק תיקחו. נכון, אנחנו גם צריכים בקיצור לשמור על האיזון הזה.
אני חושבת שיש למשרד הישראלי ולשוק הישראלי הרבה מה ללמד. שמעת אותך? לא רק בחוצפה, לא רק בחוצפה, דברים בהחלט שאתה מרגיש, אולי נזמין אותו גם זה היה מאוד בולט על רקע המצב הגיאופוליטי, בסדר? לא משנה באיזה צד אתה שם, היה מאוד בולט שמדברים עליך מאוד בחום, זה לא טריוויאלי. נכון, וגם ווייפו, אבל הקנדים מאוד, זה מאוד מאוד בולט.
הוא מאוד ידיד, כן, הוא ידיד קונסטנטינוס.
כן, לא טריוויאלי.
לא, אני חושבת שבאמת, יש לי קצת, לא יודעת, אני חושבת שוואיפו כן מתייחסים לרשות הפטנטים, הם מבינים את המסתיות שלה, כאילו ברמה של דיברת על מדינה מתפתחת.
לא, היה ממש
הוא לא מתפתח. כאילו הם שמים את האפורט והטרקות שלהם ולא רוצים כל כך לתת, כאילו,
מה התפקיד של גל בווייפו?
וואו, ביזנס.
זה גם משמעותי.
כן, לא, זה משמעותי והוא גם באמת עוזר, אני פחות בוחש כאילו בסוף צריך לזכור שוואיפו הוא גם ארגון מקצועי, אבל הוא גם ארגון בסוף פוליטי, כי הוא חלק מהארגון, אז הוא פחות מאוד מקצועי, לפעמים קצת גם קצת אנשים שיעשו פוליטיקה, בטח בימים אלו.
לגמרי, אני ממש חושבת אבל בכל מקרה שהפרויקט הוא סוג של תקדים, וכן פורט דרך כאילו לעוד פרויקטים שיבואו בסגנון, יש להם יש להם מין כזה על הפארט, אז יש להם עוד פרויקטים בסגנון שהם קצת, אני לא יודעת אם אותו דבר או בסגנון, אני לא יודעת אם אנחנו כרגע חושבים בסגנון לקחת אותם, אבל
אנחנו חושבים בזכות קרים שעשתה חיבור עם היפנים, לעשות את
היפנים עושים.
אני טובה לעצמי, מה אתם חושבים על זה? חושבים על קלינית, IP קלינית כזה,
תראו, אנחנו רואים המון עבודה על זה. לי יש גם עמיתים מיפן שהם גם משרדים
שוני תרבותי,
דרמטי, נכון. וצריך לבחור את החברות מאוד בהיתר.
כן, מצד, כאילו, למה חשבתי על
דברים שהם
האסמית, אם נסתכל כאילו נטו בשביל מה התכנסנו כאילו, לקדם אותו, האסמית זה באמת להגיד שמנו עניין זה יפן, במתח מאוד מאוד גדול מהשוק שלהם, וכן יש איזשהו צורך כאילו גם שלהם, צורך אמיתי, כאילו אני מקווה שזה יצא לפועל,
זה באמת בכלל, הטיפולים של מזרח הפטנטים.
אז אנחנו אגב עושים בפברואר, אני לא יודעת מי מכם השתתפה בוובינר שעשינו על סין, או ידעה על זה בכלל?
אני לא יודעת, זה היה עם השותף מגומצקי, נכון? זיו.
כן, אז א' זה באתר שלנו, אפשר לצפות בוובינר, אנחנו עושים כזה אחד על הודו גם בפברואר, אנחנו עושים את זה בשיתוף פעולה עם המשפחת הכלכלית בהודו, כי אנחנו מבינים, האמת שזו הייתה בקשה בעקבות הוובינר בסין, קיבלנו בקשה לעשות להגיע מהציבור. אז אנחנו חושבים כנראה שזה מעניין, שהשוק הזה מעניין. לא, נכון, כאילו,
מיליארד לא דוגמאות. לא, יש לו נפלת שבאמת, ומעסיקות גם המון, ויש שם... נכון. יש הרבה דברים. זהו, אנחנו נשמח מאוד מאוד לעוד הרצאות, אם יש דברים שעולים רעיונות בעקבות הקליניק או סתם כך, אז נשמח לשמוע. זהו, ותאכלו משהו שלא נורא. מאוד מידתי. סינתיה, בעיניו יש לכם עוד מה לומר, או ש...
בתיאבון.
בשנייה, אבל... עם הזום.
יאללה, בואו נצלם אתכם.
יש פה תיקים של הרשות, אתם מוזמנות... תיקים של הרשות.
תראי, אני אצלם אתכם. בינתיים. ביי ביי.
להתראות, תודה ולהתראות. רגע, מצלמים אותנו עם הזום, שאנחנו בזום, בסדר.
אנחנו נעמוד בצד של התמונה שהיא... איך את רוצה לעשות את זה? איך את רוצה לעשות את זה? כן, כי רואים לך את צריך לא להסתיר את זה.
כמה תמונה גדולה בחדר, רואים שלא התאפרת.
לא. אני זמתי חדר, שמישהו יישב. לא? אוקיי, בואו.
עכשיו כוח לאורך, כסתום את האורך.
כן, כל הכבוד.
עיקר הניסיון.
אני אצלם. אנחנו נהיה נופלים,
אני אשלח לכם בקבוצה.
למי שהשפיע
היי.